talked on one of my other videos, my shorter videos, that I have some things to say about the Sugar Bowl game. So I'm just going to kind of start from this. I've got a little outline here I'm going to go with, so I apologize for not looking directly in the camera the whole time. So first, I'm going to speak to the point from Ole Miss. You know, Ole Miss had a coach, I'm not going to use the name, that decided to leave for another college football program. Situation they left under wasn't the best of circumstances, obviously, and the attempt during this, you know, he would have attempted to have taken players with him, and he would have done. He even offered to coach through the playoffs. Well, kudos to the folks at Ole Miss for having enough sense to go ahead and say, no, we don't want to around the boys anymore. We need to protect our players. You know, that's a bad business decision. It just is. You know, you can't come up with that. They also knew that he had a previous history of doing this sort of thing at the other schools, college programs that he had been associated with in the past. And now the Ole Miss team, the Rebels, have got their own struggles with this, and from their standpoint, their head coach left after an incredible season of 11 wins and 1 loss. Again, contact was inappropriate. It was certainly bad timing on that coach's part, and he was barred from seeing any of the players. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because that could have been something that could have caused some of these kids. College students are kids. They're very young. They're very impressionable. It's something that could have caused these kids to have followed this coach to another school, another program, or something, and that may or may not have been in their best interest. Who's to know? But they made the decision to keep him away from the kids, which I think is the right thing to do. The kids need to make up their own minds. They don't need to be pulled and made fed promises that you don't know whether they're going to come true or whether they're not. So it's just not right. And there was no, in my opinion, there was no consideration that was given towards the future of that student and that student's career beyond trying to improve or bolster the coach's reputation. His reputation has increased and increased and increased and increased from each and every school. Of course, then he gets all of this extra money and stuff. So, you know, that's just not good business. It's also greed, you know, and nobody likes greed. I sure don't. I know what it can cause. Yeah, I've been greedy too before, and it never end well. You know, it never ends well. So, kind of looks like it's maybe heading that way in this case too. But regardless, he attempted to deceive and betray the team through that, and that's just not good. That's just not good. You know, that's not good for the team. That's not good for the program. That's not good for the school that you're with, or who your employer is. That's just not good. And right after that, you know, of course, they have the Ole Miss and the team's reeling. They don't know what to do. Who's going to be coming in next? What do they do? Well, somebody from within um, steps in and was chosen and stepped up. I said, actually had a pretty good bit of experience. Had a good deal of time working with another great college and worked under Nick Saban for some time. So, of course, everybody knows who I'm talking about. That's Pete Golden. I don't mind saying his name, by the way. I'm not going to talk about the other coach. I'm not even going to mention his name. Why? It's not worth it. It's just not. And I'm not stirring up any trouble. I'm definitely just going to point out and talk about my viewpoint for the Sugar Bowl, the Betrayal, and the Deep South. What happens here in Mississippi? So here's some things about Pete. And I say I'm not the biggest football fan, so y'all got to understand that. My wife, and you will probably hear her in the next room, she's going to probably scream and yell her head off. She's the football fan in the house. I'm just a rebel by default. Well, until this last game, the Sugar Bowl, things look pretty cool now. So, yeah, I got a cap on. Yeah, that's right. I'm pulling for them. I'm pulling for them tonight too. They're playing the Fiesta Bowl as we speak. I think the score was Miami was up 3, and we had nothing at the point that I walked out. But I'm not real sure what it is now, and I'll check back in at the end of this so that we've got I can tell you what the score is at that point too. So anyway, here's a little bit about Pete. Pete's 41. He's married. He's got 2 sons. He used to be at Delta State. He was a different defensive coordinator at Ole Miss between 2023 and 2025. He was at Southeastern Louisiana, 2012 and 13. He was a defensive coordinator at Delta State, 2010 and 11. And I know I'm probably not going to say this right, but I'm going to try it anyway. He was at Tusculum for 08 and 09. And then again, he coached the safeties at Southern Miss, which happens to be where our daughter got her undergrad and undergrad through. Our son, however, graduated at Ole Miss and went on to get his master's there. My wife has got multiple degrees from Ole Miss, and most of the family has gone through Ole Miss as well. So we're kind of scattered, but you know what? I'll put on an Ole Miss hat, or I'll put on the gold and black, or whatever if I need to root for whatever team that my family needs me to root for. So, I'm the guy that's going to be up there, and I'm always going to be the one to hang on and be the steady for whoever needs the help. So I'm here for the assist. All right. Between 16 and 17, he was at UTSA. 18 to 22, he was at Alabama. And then from 2023 to present, he's at Ole Miss. Now he's the head coach. And he's stuck into a really big position and with a very big responsibility on his shoulders. Apparently, he's been there, and he's been with these young men, and they know him and they trust him. So he goes ahead and works with his team and and coaches the Rebels to victory, despite all the challenges. So this is the first round playoffs against Tulane. The score was 41 to 10. So, and Ole Miss won. All right. So now we're getting ready to head into the second round quarterfinals. No, wait a minute. Excuse me. That was the quarterfinals, Sugar Bowl, and the oh yeah. Sorry about that. I'm getting this mixed up. I told you I wasn't wasn't the sharpest football guy here. So, all right. In the first round, the playoffs, oh, the Rebels played Tulane, and it was 41-10. All right. Now, here we go to the second round, which is the quarterfinals, or everybody knows it, the Sugar Bowl. Sorry, that's where I got screwed up. The Rebels won against Georgia 39-34. All right. So that was January the 1st of 2026, New Year's Day. There's several records that were set. So this was the first 13-win season. Quarterback consecutive completions was another one with 13 straight completions. That's from Trinidad. Excellent young man. All right. The kicker has this mad leg. I really would just like to see if they could put him, how far they could put him down the end of the field and just kick. Okay. And I honestly don't understand why somebody doesn't say, hey, I got a great kicker. Why don't we just go ahead and just, if we're not winning, why don't we just get this guy to, you know, just come out every time when we get down to first, however it works out. Why don't we just put the kicker in, let the kicker just kick the ball down the field? You know, hey, we could at least do that and get some, and get them with, if they could just get them within field goal range, you could win a game by just kicking field goals. But I don't know. I know there's some competitive to it, but I don't know why no one has used that as a strategy yet. Maybe they have or not, but I don't know. I thought it was a good idea. It may not be, and if it's not, you guys can tell me why it's not. So I'm open to any and all comments here, because I'm just, you know, I'm a neophyte when it comes to football. I know very little about the rules, the individual rules. All right. Anyway, to get back to the kicker. The kicker had 54, 56, and 58-yard field goals, all successful and stuff. That's why I said I really like to see how far this kid could really kick a field goal. You know, I bet he probably could be back somewhere between the 70, 80-yard line and be nailing them just about as consistently as he nailed these bad boys right here. So, just curious. If anybody sees it and knows how far this kid can kick and has actually seen it, let me know, because I sure would like to know. I actually would like to just come out and watch the kid, sit out on the side and just watch this kid kick someday if I ever had the chance. All right, enough about them. So here's Georgia. Some weird things happen on and off those last final moments. They move stuff on the field and off the field 2 or 3 different times and all that. I don't really care about all that. But here's something that I did find interesting. In the very final moments, Georgia tried something that is a very deceptive move in American football. And I don't think I've ever seen it used. I guess I probably have in like some old football films or something, and didn't really, you know, old movies or something, really didn't think much of it. But my wife says that it's not, and says something that she hasn't seen so far, so I got to believe her. But anyway, this flea flicker thing, I went and looked it up because I didn't know exactly what it was. It is called, here's the definition: a deceptive American football trick play where a quarterback hands the ball off to a running back, okay, who runs it as if he is going to run a play. Then he pitches it back to the quarterback, who then throws a deep pass aiming to coach the defense off guard and creates a big gain. So here's the deal. So they ended up going back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth off this little thing. And finally, either time runs out or Ole Miss stops them. I can't remember which one happened. But anyway, Anyway, it finally ends. So I just, just an observation here. So now we come to the Rebel quarterback, our bad boy Trinidad Chambliss. All right, he's the quarterback. So in my mind, I look at him in many ways. He's the leader of the team. He is the leader. He is the person. He's the supervisor right out there on the field. He's the one that takes the directions from the coach, which is Pete, and his guidance, and places it into action out there on the field. So his teammates, his brotherhood out there have to have a tremendous amount of confidence in him, faith, in order to be able to do anything successfully. So what do we know about Trinidad is that he's a Christian first and foremost. He comes from a family that's a very strong Christian family. He doesn't mind speaking boldly about his faith, and I even heard that on there. That was one of the things that struck me. And I did see a couple of things. His mother was praying for him, and they had her up close. And at one point, I saw him go, during the game, I actually saw him go over to the side, in between a play or something, went over to the side, he stood there, and had his head down, and his mother was in the bleachers above, and she had a hand, at least one hand on him, and was standing there with, leaning over the guardrail, and what it appeared to be praying. He had his head down, so you could tell it wasn't a conversation, and she was talking and everything, and he was just standing still. So to me, that appeared to be a prayer. Later, I asked my wife and says, oh yeah, his mother comes down and she prays before his games. She plays all through them, and they even have a special place that she said that they have to set up close as they can, where she can always get to him and pray, see him and be close, so that she can pray and see him anytime he needs it, wherever that is, however they do that. So they had to make special accommodations for him. You know what? I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if anybody else likes that or not. I really don't care. But I think that's pretty cool. That's just my opinion. I like it. So here we come to another interesting thing. Another point of betrayal. Down here in Mississippi, we're the deep South, right? If Mississippi is not the deep South, no, what is? Okay. Louisiana, Arkansas, maybe, but Mississippi, really the epitome of the deep South. And let me tell you why. I was born here. I was born in the Delta. I've lived here. I've lived other places across the world, and I've come back home. And then I've watched people. I'm a Mississippian. I watch how people have treated me other places, and I've looked at people that have treated that have come into our state and then out of our state, and I've how people have received me in other places I've been. So, give me a lot of insight on it, having had the opportunity to work elsewhere in many different positions throughout my years of my career. All right, so here's Mississippi. We're very welcoming. It's a welcoming place where smiles are given freely. Greetings are not an obligation. They're an obligation, not an option. And you just, everybody just does it. You're raised to be nice. All of us are. Acts of hospitality are seen as selfless acts, true gestures of love. We just do stuff for somebody else just because that's just how mama taught us, and how that person's mama taught them, and their mama, and their mama, and their grandmama, and their granddaddy. That's just how this all works out down here. So if you understand that, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're a Mississippian, well, it's just the way we are. We're going to be nice to you anyway. That's the way it rolls here. So We give to anybody and everybody freely. It doesn't matter where you come from. It just we're gonna give to you. We're gonna help you. I can't tell you the number of times people have stopped and helped me, or I have stopped and helped others. Don't even know who the heck they are. See somebody trying to get groceries into the back of their car, and you try to help them. See somebody over on the side of the road. You don't care what the license plate says. As a matter of fact, you don't even look. You just go. You pull over to the side, and you look. Now, is there a caution? Yes, always. We have a watchful eye as Mississippians, but that doesn't mean that we're not caring. It means that we're exactly the opposite. We give you and we afford you every amount of kindness that we possibly can give you. Make sense? All right. And then, so we're kind to everybody. And we'll and if you decide you want to move here, heck yeah, man, more the merrier. We'll receive you gladly. It doesn't matter where you from, what you what you're doing, or anything else. Here's the deal, though. We don't mind you bringing your thoughts and your things that you do. I actually have a friend of mine who moved here from California, and moved here to retire, and she'll know who it is if and when she sees this video. She'll know who it is, and some other people may too. But anyway, she had been over on a visit, raining, just happened into Water Valley, fell in love with the place, and decided that this is where she's going to retire. So she bought a house here in this town, right outside of Ole Miss. Decided she's going to remodel this house, redo it, and this is going to be a house where she's going to retire in, because she found the town and the people that charming and welcoming. It was a place that was, well, kind of like Mayberry, USA, right? Anybody that's seen Andy Griffith knows what I'm talking about. So anyway, I know this lady, and when I met her, she told and asked her about, what her name was, this, that, and other. She kind of chuckled and everything, and told me her name and stuff. I said, well, where do you live now? She says, California. And I said, oh, okay. And she stopped me. She says, I just want to make sure you understand something. Says, I'm planning to retire here in Mississippi. I was like, sure, I want you to. Heck, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Come on. She said, but I want to make sure you understand something. I'm not bringing my California ways. I said, well, then that's very much appreciated, because she understood exactly what that meant, and so did I, along with every other Mississippian. We understand you. We understand the values and the views and what other people's opinions are and what people tend to think about us. A lot of people tend to think that we're not all that sharp. We're slow. We move slow. We work slow. Sometimes we don't come right back with an answer to what you're saying. We might not immediately decide that we're going to snap and do something or fight you or whatever. We may not have a lot of money. We may not have a lot of other things too. But that doesn't mean we're dumb. And if you're from here, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you will understand that by the time I'm finished with what I got to say. So, the best way I can describe Mississippi, besides it just being the epitome of, hospitality, Southern hospitality, is that it's a place where you get back as much or more than what you put into it, if that makes sense. So if you come here and you put in some bad energy, well, you're going to get some bad energy back. And it's probably going to be more than you want. And more than likely, you ain't going to be around here long. Okay? But if you come here and you're like this lady and says, hey, I'm coming here to retire, and everything. This lady, since that conversation several years ago, has come here, and she has now retired recently, and lives here in our in our town. And nice lady. Still don't know a whole lot about her, but anyway, very nice lady. She's very quiet, which is exactly what she was looking for, and it was out of the hustle and bustle of corporate life and all of the different things that one would want to get away from, to lead a simple life, or a quieter life, and that's kind of what makes Mississippi such a special place. We have people who've moved here from all over the world, and they've been there, and they said they've never been to a place as welcoming as our state. It doesn't matter where you are. Mississippi is that spot on this rock that's spinning through space that just is the spot. So if you really want to come here, if you really want someplace quiet, you really want someplace that will welcome you with open arms, you really want some people who just love you just because of who you are, well, come visit us. If you like it, great. If you're not, it doesn't bother us either. You can just keep going. But you know what? We're gonna wave and smile at you when you come in, and we're gonna wave and smile at you as you go out of town too. We don't really care. You know, we know we're not everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. You may not be mine, and I'm all right with that too. But I'm not gonna be ugly to you about it. So, us, a Mississippian in general. Um, Here's the thing: we are the epitome of Southern. If you don't like the accent or whatever you get down here, and there's a variety of different ones, and some of them are thick, and some of them aren't, and some of them sound funny and all that. Especially if we go someplace else, out of the South, to another state in the South. A lot of times, they can tell we're not from there. Louisianans, differently, speak a lot differently from Mississippians and vice versa. And first time I worked in southern Mississippi, that became very evident to me, because the first thing somebody said to me is, "Son, I like you, but where you from? You don't sound like you. I know you ain't from here, because you don't sound like us." And of course, it's funny, but we know that to each other, so we explained it, and then it was like, "Oh, great, we're all okay. We're Mississippians. We know each other. We know how all this works." I'm just from a little bit farther north place in Mississippi than Gulfport. So there it is. Um, I've gone places. I've worked in places like Texas, and I've been in many other places, and I'm astounded, actually, at the people who've said, "Wow, that's you're very polite." Yeah, that's right. I say ma'am. I say sir. I say yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you. Please. Um, Calling someone something that's nice, like darling or something like that, is not trying to come on to anybody. It's just, or even baby. It's not even, you know, whether you're male or female. That's not anything that's uncommon here. Those are terms of endearment. We just throw those out there. That's just like throwing candy out at a parade. I mean, that's just natural to us. And if we weren't polite and used courtesy, oh my gosh, that would be outrageous at home. And in my generation, we would have just gone ahead and actually just had a problem with just continuing on. My battery just was trying to show it was low, so sorry if you saw all this motion behind there. Anyway, but yeah, they'd be really upset. I might have even gotten disciplined at home about that too. And yes, that did not mean standing in the damn corner. It meant that sometimes you got your butt beat, you got a whipping. Yeah, we still do believe in that down here in Mississippi too, regardless of what other people think they want to call it and stuff. Now, Is it a little different than it was then? Certainly. Why? Because time changes and time changes all. But we still believe that you gonna act right when you're in public. And if you don't, well, that's shameful. And it's evident, we've got people who come here from other places, and we see the children going wild and running up and down the streets, have no discipline or whatever, and parents can't keep them under control or what have you. And that's okay. I don't have to live with that child. I don't have to live in that house, and I definitely didn't put a ring on anybody's finger over there. I got a ring on. I put a ring on the one that I want, and she's sitting in there yelling at a football game now. She took her a long nap this afternoon so she could be rested and prepared to coach right from here at our house to make sure that the Rebels won. So they need her input. So I'm politely giving her all the space that she needs so that she can coach them to victory tonight. So, and the ones y'all that know, So, all right. We try to give as much. The Mississippians are always hospitable. We always try to extend grace. It doesn't matter whether we know you did something, whether we didn't, or whatever. We're going to give you the benefit of the doubt until we find otherwise. Virtue is something that is highly, highly regarded. So if you present yourself as a good person or whatever, we value that. That is what we want. That's what we want within ourselves, here within our state. And if you're somebody who lives here in the state and you don't have some of these qualities, or you've chosen not to do this like your mom and your daddy told you should have, well, guess what? And you end up moving to another state, or you end up not doing so well here. And I'm not talking about disappearing or anything like that, but more often than not, it means that you run into some problems with law enforcement somewhere along the way, and you may have done it more than once. You may have been, and you may be currently incarcerated here or elsewhere. So I can speak from personal experience. I have, a family member that's, he's my brother. I love him, but he's done some things that have caused him to have some trouble with the law. Every family down here has. He's still my brother. I still love him. I dislike the fact, I hate what he did, but that doesn't mean I don't love him. And if he's alive when it's his time to get out of jail, then sure, he's welcome here again, just like he's always been, as long as he does what he's supposed to do. But if you don't, then you get to reap what you sow. Your actions have consequences here, real consequences, and we just don't put up with a whole lot of mess here, whether you're one of us or whether you're from someplace else. So, and when we as Mississippians and Mississippi as a whole feel like we've been betrayed, we know this. I mean, actions have consequences, and I'll just kind of give you the kind of, I'm gonna break it down for everybody out there. There's 3 states of nature, of our nature, when we go through betrayal. Number 1, we're peaceful until we're wrong. Okay, so when we're wrong, we're exactly the opposite. We're cold, we're hard, we are vengeful. I mean, like really righteously vengeful, because we know we got God on our side. When we've made a judgment, we've made a judgment. Okay, and those that don't believe of it, they upbringing has told them, no, that something ain't right. So we don't act we don't act with malice, but at the same time, there's no remorse. We don't give it another thought. It's done. Once we do what we do, it's done. It's over with and forgotten, unless you want to bring it back up, and then we'll be happy to address it again. You may come out with a better outcome. You may not, but that's your choice, not ours, even among ourselves. Um, you can't hide if you betray us, because we're going to pursue you and we're going to find you, whether that's one of our own or whether it's somebody from outside. And we'll do this, and we'll do all of that, whether it's us or somebody from the outside. Eh, like this coach, we smile and we were nice, even on the way out. We're still going to be just as welcoming when you come in as we are when we leave. So we welcome you to leave. So, so any gossip or rumors or anything about anybody being ugly or mad to the old boy or something like that, well, if he got something, and I don't know what the truth actually is, only this person does, and like people who were involved does. But I can tell you this: he was afforded the same opportunities everybody else was. We just chose to deal with it differently and react differently. And it could have been because of the publicity on the TV or whatever is why it got, because of the type of game it was and how far, the record of the season and how much recognition it got on the internet and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter. I don't care about all that. I'm just telling you who we are. So if somebody happened to see it, picked it up, ran with it, well, great. Maybe that'll let some people know that, we love y'all. We want you to come here if you want to come here. If you don't want to come here, well, then you just got a good example of why you shouldn't come. So, because we just literally don't care. We don't give a damn. And the third state of our nature is, for every action, there's a consequence. So, if you messed us up, we're exactly, yep, that's her right there. Nice. Clapping. If you betrayed us, we're the exact opposite. And it's immediate. We're hot. Justice is delivered without any sort of hesitation, and it's final. Like I said, once it's delivered and we've done what we're going to do, it's over. We are done, and we are done with you if you have betrayed us. Even if you're one of our own, you're not going to be remembered. So don't ever think that you're that haughty or high or that you all that, because even within ourselves, within our own group of Mississippians, if you get to a point where that's concerned, you may rise to some mighty heights, but you fall to the lowest of the low, and we just really don't give a damn. You can stay here or go or whatever you want to do. Now, if you want to be redeemed, and you can try very hard, and if we find that you have really, really meant it, and you're really ready to change, and you've changed, well, guess what? We'll give you a chance. But if we see that you're just a jerk, and that you're a ne'er-do-well, and that you're a charlatan, and you come from a place where you've been doing this kind of crap all over the place, the same thing over and over again, well, guess what? You're going to get your butt gone, because we just don't have to deal with it. We will shake the dust off of our sandals, our shoes. We're done with you. Okay? In particular, that's how we feel about this particular coach that shall remain nameless. Betrayal is deep and very hurtful to us down here. Friendships, relationships, business ethics, trust, all of it. It hurts us. We feel like it is a slap in the face. You have absolutely, it's like you ran over my dog today. That's how much I grieve about stuff like that. And we all do when we feel like that we're betrayed. Actually, it's worse than that. But that's the nearest thing I can probably probably describe it to you so you can understand what the heck I'm talking about. I mean, it is a personal rejection. It negates. I mean, it negated everything from any act of giving, hospitality, grace, endearment, love, or anything that was extended to you. You have just absolutely said right in our face that you don't care. You don't have any value for that. And I'm telling you, we love you to the bitter end. We honestly love you to the bitter end. And we really, really want you to stay. But you're welcome to go anytime you want to. But don't be a jackass on the way out. Okay? Because I fear that this is going to have some greater consequences for this gentleman. And I use that term because that's a term of respect, not because of what I think about him personally. But anyway, this gentleman I fear is fixing to have, is about to fall from his lofty heights. He sure as heck did in the eyes of us here in Mississippi. So we'll just see where future takes him. But regardless of whether we win, anything past the Sugar Bowl or anything else, it's okay. We don't care. You know what? This was one of the biggest things for us. That Pete Colden. Well, guess what? He's already at a record. I mean, he's at many records. All right, and I don't know what it'll show after tonight, but we're gonna end up with some more. And I think old Trinidad's mama's gonna be out there. She's already been praying for him. And you know what? I think a lot of people in Mississippi have. And there's a whole lot of other folks around here in Mississippi and some of these other southern states that have seen some of the things that have been going on. And I bet a lot of those folks have changed their mind. They pull in from social media and everything else. At least what I hear from my wife. I try not to be on that much social media right now. I don't like it. There's too much noise out there, and I don't like the crap that's being spewed. So if it ain't good, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I ain't interested. So now, as I was thinking about this, I remembered some of them lessons that I had back in school. One of my favorite subjects was physics. Matter of fact, physics was my jam. I love science and I like math. And physics was math and science all rolled into one. So it was everything. It was math at work, science at work, and math tied into it. So when I was thinking about this, the thing that came up to me was, Isaac Newton. I don't know if any of y'all remember him. If you don't, Google's gonna be your best friend. Okay, but I'm fixing to explain to you one of the great things that he came up with. Back in the day, he was the, all right, give you a little record. If you ever figured out how gravity worked, he was that old boy, I think, that did that. Isaac Newton. He saw an apple drop. The apple dropped out of the tree and hit the ground or hit him on the head or some kind of crap. I can't even remember now. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, he realized it fell and it hit the ground. There had to be something to it. What caused it to go down instead of just float around in the air, go up? Something happened. So he was a curious, young fella. So he decides he's going to look into all this, and he must have been a pretty bright guy too, because he apparently would have stayed up a lot longer at night than I would have, because I wouldn't have given a rat's butt about it. I would have just said, an apple's there, and it's on the ground. I think I'm going to pick it up and have me a bite, and it looks ripe. So, but Newton had this thing called his laws of motion, and there are 3 of those. Okay, 3 laws of motion, basic laws of motion. Sorry, I'm petting excuse me, I'm petting my puppy dog here too. All right, Annie, Thank you for hanging in here. I know that you're paying attention. All right. Annie's my faithful service dog. I don't know what in the world I'd do without her. But anyway, she hangs out wherever I am. And the people who know me know that Annie is never far away from me. So, anyway, Newton's laws of motion. Here's the three. First one, the law of inertia. The second one is the law of force and acceleration. And the third one is the law of action and reaction. So, let me explain these to you. The law of inertia, and I'm going to read the definition so that I don't get this wrong, because it's been a minute since I've been in school, but I understand it. The law of inertia, an object remains at rest. An object in motion remains in motion. So if you still, you're going to stay still. But if you start rolling, you're going to keep rolling. Right? And you're going to roll in the same direction or move in the same direction until something stops you. So, according to the definition, an object in motion remains in motion in the same direction until acted upon by an unbalanced external force. Okay? All right, so that means something stopped it, something slowed it down. What's that? Okay. I'll have to check that out in a little bit. I'll have to check that in a little bit. Again, another reminder when my battery's going low. I don't know what y'all see on your end. I hope this doesn't cause you a big deal. I love that gal. I really do. She's one for me. I have loved her since the first day I met her when she was 5. We just didn't know what it was then. Oh my gosh. Anyway, law of inertia. That's what we're talking about. An object's we're gonna be still, or we're gonna be moving, and you're not gonna stop moving unless something stops you. Okay. Number 2. That law of force and attraction. Here's the definition. The acceleration of an object. This one gets a little... Apparently it's a 58-yard field goal I'm hearing about. So, all right, back to what we're talking about. The acceleration of an object is directly proportional to the net force acting upon it and inversely proportional to its mass, expressed in a formula, F equals ma, or written out, the F means force, equal mass of the object times acceleration. Okay, pretty mathy. Or that gets pretty complicated for a lot of folks. Okay, so basically it says that if something's in motion, and if something keeps on, it will continue to accelerate and accelerate and accelerate, given where it's at. So if there's a marble on the marble and you just kind of roll it along some flat ground, it's going to keep going for a little while, right? Okay. And at some point, it's going to slow down and stop. All right. If you put a marble on the top of a hill and let it roll, and it's perfectly flat, or on a piece of board or something, and roll it from the top to the bottom, well, you let it here, it's going to be slow, but by the time you get here, it's going to gain a lot of speed, and it's going to head way on off over here. It's going to go a whole lot farther distance than that old marble that we had laying on the ground there that we shot earlier, okay? So now I think you get it as far as and acceleration. That's all that is. But it's mathy. All right. The third one and final one is the law of reaction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? You get me? So, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, that means if you do something, something's going to happen. It doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Or if it changes, something's going to happen. So, this is why I think that the Ole Miss is going to win the Fiesta Bowl tonight. That's going on. I've been working on this for, ever since the night of the Sugar Bowl. After the Sugar Bowl, some things started hitting me. I went to bed, woke up, and made some notes next morning, and I've been working on it ever since. So here's the little video that's taken all this time to come up with on there. So here's the last thing I'm going to say about this. You've heard everything else I got to say. So here's my thing. Because of all of the things that happened that I spoke about previously, the Rebels exhibited the same laws of Newton. Okay? Ole Miss did the same thing. Mississippi and Mississippians did the same thing. Okay? So, as the laws of Newton. So, now, the Newton's laws of motion had to come from somewhere, right? It wasn't just a good idea. He saw that in the real and physical world, right? Okay, so I'm seeing this in the real and physical world too. So that makes me think there's got to be a reason behind this, that this team is going on. Is it unfinished business? More than likely, it's got to have something to do with it. I'm just going to tell you, I think the boys are pissed off. I think that's one of the reasons they won the Super Bowl. I think that's one thing. They decided they had a good thing going, and they decided it's time to prove a point. There's some unfinished business. This is a good group of kids. They decided to stay with, they weren't meddled with. Another coach that had been working with them came in. They trusted him, stayed there, and they've got emotion going, and they're out to prove a point. And they're going to show that the coach that shall remain nameless. Forget I even said the L part of it, LA part of it, okay? We don't know who this person is. We don't remember this person. I know some of y'all going to find that funny because I'm not going to even edit this thing. But they got some unfinished business with this old boy, okay? And that is to show them that they can go do this on their own, that they good kids, and that they learned what they needed to know, and they're in the right place, and they got people here that surround them and love them and pray for them, and those folks are here in Mississippi, and they're people just like me, a lot of the people that probably going to be watching this. So I want to say thank you to the rest of the people here in Mississippi and the folks that happen to be standing behind these boys at Ole Miss, because they've had a lot of pressure on them this year, this past year rather. They've had a lot of crap going on that surrounded them, and a lot of things that could be distracting them, okay? So, despite all of that, they've gotten to the Fiesta Bowl. And you got to understand, I don't think it's my understanding that Ole Miss has never gotten this far in this kind of thing. And there's one more game behind this one. If Ole Miss wins tonight, they get to go and play in Miami against whoever the heck that's supposed to be. I haven't even asked who that's supposed to be. And how they pick the locations or whatever. So I'm hoping that they win the Fiesta Bowl tonight. I I have guessed that they will. I said, and if you ask me, I'm going to tell you I think that they're going to go all the way. I think they're going to win the whole shebang. So not because of anything negative about the other teams. I think the boys have got a point to prove this year. They're going to do something on their own. Why? Because we here as Mississippians love them. And I said, boys, unleash hell. Go kick a boy's butt. Do it nicely, but show somebody what you can do. So there it is. So now, just like, and that's why I relate all of this to Newton's law of motion. The victory of the Super Bowl is directly proportional to the laws of Newton's motion, not the coach that shall remain nameless. He taught, but let's understand these college head coaches. From what I understand this day, most of the time they just wander around and look pretty. It's these other people that work on the teams that do the real work. So I think he probably just kind of wandered around and looked pretty, and it probably just kind of been doing what he'd been doing. And guess what? We tend to catch people like that. So, sorry, man. Should have played your cards differently here. Should have played your cards differently. So, I'm going to ask this one question, and then we're going to go. So, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. So, I want to ask you this. And what do you think? And I really want you to comment on this. Do you think that God played a part in the victory of the Super Bowl? Now, I want you to comment either way. It's not going to hurt my feelings if you believe it or don't. Okay? That's your choice. But I honestly do want to know your answer. I choose, just for me, I choose to think so. I think God played a big part in this. And I think because of that, I think that Trinidad's mama and all this other stuff, I think there's something bigger at work here in God's world that has shown that this is about something bigger. This is not about somebody that got paid a lot of money and decided he's going to mess somebody over. I think it's definitely a fight between good and evil. You don't have to agree with me, but that's what I believe. Tell me what you think. I'm going to be really interested to see, because this has all been going on. The Fiesta Bowl is going on now. So before I go ahead and end this, let me see. I'm going to refresh my screen here. I turned the screen off because it was throwing a lot of light at me here. So let's see what it says. All right, let's see here. Let me refresh. All right. If this is right, it says it's halftime. It says the Miami Hurricanes, who are, I think, ranked number 10, currently have 17 points. And the Ole Miss Rebels, who are ranked number 6, have, 13 points. So they're only 4 points behind. So apparently is I have heard my wife yell and scream in joy a few times, and clapping and everything else, and y'all have heard most of them, I think. There's some good stuff going on. So here's the deal. Typically after halftime, the guys come back and they've got some renewed energy, probably some prayer. And then the fourth quarter is typically where the rubber meets the road. So if that does the same way it always does, get ready for one hell of a finish to the Fiesta Bowl. So let's have a lot of fun, guys. I'm going to go out there. Like I said, I rarely get into this football stuff, and I even chose to come back here after the first few minutes of the game so I could get this thing done. So I promised I was going to try to get it out there tonight before the game, and then I ended up having to push it. So I've got it out here before the game is over, and I've updated you with where I am in here. So there's no way for anybody to come out and say, "Oh, he did that later or made something." Shut up. Just be quiet. I already know that now. So I love y'all. Let's go have a great night, and let's go see what the heck happens with a football game tonight. I'm excited. All right, guys. Love y'all. God bless. And see you soon, no matter whether the win, lose, or draw. Don't matter. Bye.